Listen to me. Your life will not change until you decide you're done living like everyone else. You want to win? Then believe it. Breathe it. Walk like the victory is already yours. Because the moment you choose certainty over doubt, the world has no choice but to move out of your way. Winners aren't born, they're decided. And today, that decision is yours. Winning never begins on the battlefield, in the ring, or in the marketplace. It begins in the quiet, invisible corners of your own mind, long before anyone else even believes in you. The moment you decide you are worthy of victory, the moment you allow the thought of winning to take root, everything in your life begins to shift. Most people lose before they start because they walk into every situation expecting defeat. They don't realize that the world bends to the story they tell themselves. If you tell yourself you can't win, your mind will find evidence to prove it. If you tell yourself you can, your mind starts building the path toward that belief. Your mindset is the architect of your future. Believing you will win is not about arrogance or empty motivation. It's about aligning your thoughts with your goals in a way that activates your potential. When you genuinely believe something is possible, your actions naturally rise to meet that belief. You take more risks, you stay more consistent, and you push through challenges with a level of conviction that average people can't understand. Winners operate from a place of certainty. They don't hope to win, they expect it. And that expectation shapes everything they do. Most people live in a mental prison built from fear, past failures, and the opinions of others. They don't understand that their mind is the only thing holding them back. They've convinced themselves they aren't capable, and that single thought is the root of their stagnation. The moment you flip that belief, the moment you decide, I will win, something powerful happens. Your brain begins to search for opportunities instead of excuses. You start to notice possibilities you were blind to before. The world didn't change, your perception did. Belief is a weapon. It's the difference between stopping when things get uncomfortable and pushing forward because you know the reward is worth the pain. When your belief is strong, setbacks don't discourage you, they educate you. Failure doesn't feel like the end, it feels like information. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. This is why successful people seem unstoppable. It's not that they don't experience difficulty, it's that they interpret difficulty differently. Belief also dictates your energy. You carry yourself differently when you expect victory. You speak with more confidence. You move with more intention. People feel it. Opportunities respond to it. Life itself seems to bend in your favor because certainty is magnetic. The world gravitates toward those who know where they're going. But belief alone is not enough. It must be backed with relentless effort. You cannot declare you will win and then sit still. Belief is the spark, but action is the fuel. Together, they turn potential into reality. When you combine a winning mindset with disciplined, consistent action, you become a force that is almost impossible to stop. The truth is simple. Winners win long before the victory is public. They win in their mind, they win in their habits, they win in their internal dialogue. And once your mind believes in the victory, the body, the decisions, and the discipline naturally follow. Everything begins with the belief that you are capable, worthy, and destined to win. Discipline is the quiet force that separates dreamers from doers, the committed from the casual, the winners from the almost winners. Anyone can feel motivated for a day, a week, or even a month, but motivation fades just like emotions do. Discipline is what remains when the excitement disappears. It's the framework that holds your life together when everything around you feels too heavy to carry. The truth is simple. You cannot build a successful life on moments of motivation. You build it on the daily grind, the repeated actions, the habits that shape who you become long before anyone notices your effort. Most people wait for the perfect moment to start. They wait to feel ready, inspired, or confident. Winners know that the perfect moment doesn't exist. They start where they are, with what they have, And they grind even when their mind screams for comfort. They understand that discipline is forged in resistance. Every time you choose the harder path, waking up early, training when you're tired, studying when you'd rather rest, you strengthen a part of yourself that becomes unstoppable over time. Discipline is a muscle, and every disciplined act is a repetition that makes you stronger. When you commit to disciplined action, you separate yourself from 99% of people without even trying. Most people fold the moment life becomes inconvenient. They think struggle means something is wrong. But winners know struggle is a sign they're on the right path. Discipline teaches you to lean into difficulty instead of avoiding it. It teaches you that consistency matters more than speed, that showing up every day is far more powerful than showing up perfectly. It's the silent promise you make to yourself, I will not quit, no matter how I feel. Discipline also builds self-respect. When you tell yourself you're going to do something and you follow through, you gain confidence that cannot be faked or borrowed. You learn to trust yourself. That's why disciplined people have a different presence. They carry the weight of someone who has kept promises to themselves. On the other hand, every time you break your own commitments, you weaken your spirit. You train your mind to doubt you. Discipline restores that internal trust brick by brick. It's important to understand that discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It prepares you for the opportunities you say you want. It ensures that when your moment comes, you're ready. Opportunities are useless if you're not prepared to seize them. Discipline guarantees you are. It's the behind-the-scenes work that no one praises, the countless hours that never make it online, the sacrifices no one sees, but everyone respects when the results show up. Discipline also creates momentum. Once you lock into a routine, your actions compound. One disciplined day becomes a disciplined week, then a disciplined month, and before you realize it, you've built a lifestyle that supports your goals instead of sabotaging them. This momentum becomes your identity. You become the kind of person who acts, not someone who talks about acting. At its core, discipline is the foundation of victory. It's what builds your strength, shapes your character, and carries you through the storms that motivation cannot survive. When you commit to discipline, you're not just improving your habits, you're rewriting your destiny. You're telling the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are willing to do the work required to win. And once that decision is made, everything in your life begins to align with the person you're becoming. Pain is the unspoken price of progress, the currency every winner pays long before success becomes visible. Most people fear pain, avoid discomfort, and run from anything that challenges their limits. But winners know the truth. Pain is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It reveals what you're made of. It strips away excuses. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that need to grow. Without pain, there is no evolution, no strength, no breakthrough. Everything great you admire in others was built on struggle, sacrifice, and countless moments where quitting seemed easier than continuing. Pain is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, waking up exhausted but still pushing forward, saying no to distractions when every part of you is craving escape, choosing the harder but necessary path instead of the comfortable one. These moments, small in isolation, build the character that leads to massive transformation. Every time you push through discomfort, you're telling your mind, I decide who I am, not my feelings. That simple decision compounds into resilience. The reason losers stay stuck is not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It's because they lack the willingness to endure discomfort. They don't understand that pain is a message, a signal that you are expanding beyond your old limitations. If you avoid struggle, you avoid growth. The people who rise are those who make peace with the uncomfortable truth that greatness requires suffering, not forever, but long enough to reshape you into someone capable of carrying success. Pain builds discipline, and discipline builds power. When you learn to act despite emotional resistance, you become dangerous. not to others, but to your old self. You break away from laziness, fear, weakness, and doubt. You become someone who cannot be easily shaken. That's why people who have truly suffered often walk with a certain confidence. They've been tested, they've faced themselves, they've climbed out of holes. Others didn't survive. Pain has carved out a deeper strength within them that comfort could never create. The secret is understanding that discomfort is temporary, but the reward is permanent. The soreness fades. The exhaustion passes. The late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, they don't last forever. But the person you become because of them does. Every champion has a story filled with moments where they felt like giving up but didn't. What separates them from the rest is the decision to see pain not as a stop sign, but as proof they're on the right path. Pain also sharpens your focus. When you're struggling, you pay attention, you reflect, you adjust. Hard times force clarity. They show you what matters and what doesn't. They strip away the noise, the distractions, and the illusion that life should be easy. Pain wakes up parts of your mind that comfort keeps asleep. It forces you to be intentional, to be resourceful, to be hungry. You don't grow in easy seasons. You grow in the moments when your back is against the wall, when everything seems impossible, when you're pushed beyond your limits. That's where real strength is forged. And once you've endured enough pain, once you've built enough resilience, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Pain is the path, and those who walk it willingly are the ones who eventually rise above everyone who avoided it. Your environment is more powerful than you think. The people around you either elevate you or drain you, sharpen you or dull you, push you forward or hold you back. Most people never win, not because they lack ambition, but because they stay locked inside circles that suffocate their potential. Your circle becomes your ceiling. If you surround yourself with people who have no drive, no vision, and no hunger, their energy becomes your normal. Their excuses become your language. Their limitations become your beliefs. You slowly become a reflection of the environment you tolerate. Winners understand this truth early. You cannot rise while staying around those who are comfortable sinking. You cannot develop a strong mind in a weak environment. You cannot demand greatness from yourself while accepting mediocrity from everyone around you. The people in your life are either assets or liabilities. There is no neutral. They either help you win or they help you lose, even if unintentionally. Energy is contagious. If your friends waste time, complain, and choose comfort over progress, you will absorb that mindset. That's why winners are intentional about who they keep close. They seek people who challenge them, people who operate at a higher level, people who force them to grow. Being around strong-minded individuals elevates your standards. It makes you realize how much more you're capable of. It shows you that high performance isn't rare. It's simply a choice that most people refuse to make. Circles should make you uncomfortable in the best way. They should be ahead of you in some areas. They should inspire you, outwork you, and push you to break the ceilings you've placed on yourself. Iron sharpens iron, but only if the iron is real. Too many people surround themselves with plastic and wonder why they never get stronger. Sometimes elevating your environment means letting go. It means distancing yourself from people who keep you tied to your past. It means reducing access to those who drain your energy and multiply your doubts. It means recognizing that loyalty doesn't require you to sacrifice your future. You don't abandon people out of arrogance. You simply outgrow the version of life they're comfortable with. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with protecting your ambition. There's nothing wrong with choosing a path that not everyone understands. Strong circles aren't always large. In fact, the strongest circles are often small. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. You need people who don't let you settle. People who call you out, not out of envy, but out of belief. People who want to see you win because they are winning too. When you're surrounded by greatness, greatness becomes the standard. Your environment shapes your habits, your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. If you stay around the weak, you become weak. If you surround yourself with the strong, you rise to match them. The truth is simple. Your circle is either building your future or destroying it. And the moment you choose to align yourself with people who expect more from life, you unlock levels of yourself you didn't know existed. Winners choose their environment with the same seriousness they choose their goals, because they know the two are inseparable. Belief without action is fantasy. Action without belief is chaos. But when belief and action work together, they create a force strong enough to reshape your entire life. Faith is the spark that ignites your potential, but action is the engine that carries you toward the finish line. Most people think believing is enough. They convince themselves that if they say the right affirmations or think positive thoughts, success will somehow fall into their lap. But winners know better. They understand that faith means nothing if it isn't backed by movement. You must move with conviction. You must act as if the win is already on its way, even during the days when doubt feels louder than confidence. The most dangerous thing you can do is hesitate. Hesitation kills momentum. It creates fear where there should be courage. When you truly believe you will win, you take the first step even while the path is unclear. You trust that clarity will meet you halfway. You trust that the effort you put in today will pay off tomorrow. Faith gives you the courage to start. Action gives you the strength to continue. Together, they turn impossible goals into achievable realities. People often underestimate how powerful consistent action is. One small step done every day multiplies into massive transformation. Winners don't rely on luck, they rely on rhythm. They build routines, systems, and habits that force progress even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. They don't wait for opportunities. They create them through relentless execution. That's what separates dreamers from achievers. Belief is internal, but action externalizes it, turning your inner conviction into visible results. When you act with belief, something extraordinary happens. The universe responds. Opportunities begin to appear, people begin to notice, and momentum begins to build. But it only happens because you were bold enough to move first. You stepped into the unknown with confidence, and life rewarded that courage. The world respects a person who walks with purpose, not because they're perfect, but because they're determined. Determination is magnetic. It attracts resources, relationships, and opportunities that align with your direction. There will be moments when belief feels fragile, when the results don't come fast enough, when the grind feels endless. This is where action saves you. When your belief wavers, your routines carry you forward. When your emotions dip, your discipline lifts you up. That's why winners build a life where their habits support their dreams. They don't rely on emotion, they rely on structure. Your future is built through repetition, not inspiration. Faith and action also protect you from regret. Most people never know what they're capable of because they never fully commit. They stand 1 foot in and 1 foot out, always second-guessing, always hesitating. But when you combine faith with relentless action, you remove the what-ifs. You give yourself the chance to see exactly how far you can climb. And even if the journey is hard, which it will be, you grow into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unrecognizable compared to who you were when you started. The truth is simple. You cannot lose if you refuse to stop. When belief fuels your spirit and action fuels your journey, you become a force of nature. Obstacles become temporary. Delays become lessons. Failures become stepping stones. You move with a quiet confidence that says, I will win, it's only a matter of time. And when you live like that, when your mind and your effort work in harmony, victory is not just possible, it becomes inevitable.